The graves can be found in cemeteries from the East Coast to the West, from the Deep South to the far North, and all states in between. In these cemeteries are found the graves of Confederate soldiers and sailors, men who died in battle and those who survived the war for Southern independence to live far into the future, to beget generations of their own. Here the graves of unknown privates are found nearby the resting spots of battlefield officers, whose names will never be forgotten as long as a group of men exists known as the Sons of Confederate Veterans. Those who lie in these cemeteries came mostly from the farms, small towns, and villages of what was then the newly created Confederate States of America. They were the sons, fathers, husbands, and brothers of the South. During the war to establish a new nation, 800,000 would come forward to defend against an invader. 260,000 would die as a result. These heroes of the South were our ancestors, our forefathers, our blood kin to whom we are forever linked. We, in the Sons of Confederate Veterans, stand in awe of their long-ago bravery and accomplishment, for we are the descendants of men who sacrificed all but their honor.
Hello, I'm Ron Castillo. It is my honor to speak for the Sons of Confederate Veterans and extend to you an invitation to join our organization. To be eligible for membership in the SCV requires that you have a blood relative who served honorably in the armed forces of the Confederacy and that you can document that ancestry. We have genealogists to assist if need be. Additionally, each applicant for membership must be at least 12 years of age. Be assured that there are numerous benefits to being in the SCV. Chief among them is the pride you will feel that comes from being a member of the oldest, most creditable, and best-known Confederate hereditary organization in existence.
The Sons of Confederate Veterans was formed in 1896. Back in a time when it was nothing unusual to see Confederate veterans in the streets of America's towns and cities proudly remembering and celebrating their Confederate heritage. Until that time, the aging veterans of the war came together as members of the United Confederate Veterans. The Sons of Confederate Veterans was formed as a direct heir to the United Confederate Veterans. The first commander-in-chief of the Sons of Confederate Veterans was Jeb Stuart, Jr., the son of Confederate cavalry hero Major General Jeb Stuart. Today, Jeb Stuart IV carries on a rich SCV heritage.
The Sons of Confederate Veterans is an organization where we can help, as the Museum of the Confederacy is doing in its own way, help preserve that heritage which our ancestors fought for so incredibly hard. And it does, and belonging to the SCV means that I believe in the ideals of honoring our ancestors and honoring the brave deeds that they were involved in, and continuing that perpetuation of that memory even to today.
Today's SCV exists to preserve the history and legacy of its heroes, so future generations can understand the events and circumstances that motivated our ancestors to resist tyranny and fight for Southern independence, just as their ancestors did when they fought the British. The SCV is not affiliated with any other organization and rejects any group whose actions tarnish or distort the image of the Confederate soldier or his reason for fighting.
To be in the SCV means having the frequent opportunity to engage in a wide variety of programs and activities. Memorializing Confederate heroes and holidays is one of the most popular events in which camps and divisions are involved. Reenactments of one kind or another are popular within the SCV, although one does not have to be a reenactor to be in the SCV. Reenacting is something in which families can participate. The SCV is also deeply involved in education through various programs, including the Sam Davis Youth Camps, which are put on in different parts of the Confederation each year. Managed by the national organization, at these camps, young men are immersed in a week-long education of Confederate history and heritage, and come out a better-off young man because of this unique camp experience. The placing of monuments honoring battles, heroes, and events is seen in divisions of all sizes. This monument, noting the Battle of Centralia in Missouri, was recently placed at the site where Quantrill, Anderson, and Todd wiped out a troop of mounted Yankee infantry. Outside Olahatchee, Alabama, in Calhoun County, is a 150-foot-long, three-wall monument featuring large sections of black granite. This remarkable monument was recently completed to honor Confederates from the area who fought in the war for Southern independence. The Janey Furnace Confederate Memorial is a truly unique site and tribute to the Confederate veterans of Calhoun County. She was known far and wide in the SCV as the last surviving Confederate widow. Until her death in 2004, at the age of 98, Mrs. Alberta Martin of Alabama was the center of attention wherever she went, and was adored by her followers in the SCV. It was in Columbia, South Carolina in the year 2000 that some 12,000 members of the SCV and their supporters came from across the nation to show their support for keeping the Confederate battle flag flying atop the state capitol dome. It was one of the largest turnouts of the SCV in generations. 4 years later, in the city of Charleston, South Carolina,